What's their publication? You'll never guess. It's time now for Not the Straight Press.
Yes, well, the publication this week is Fire magazine, and we're talking to the editor, Andrew Lynch. Andrew, good afternoon to you.
Hi, Martin. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Well, tell us about your magazine. What sort of stuff you cover in it?
We cover everything fire-related. We've been around since 1908.
Wow.
So we're very well established within the sector. But we cover all sorts of politics. Our readership includes fire chiefs, fire officers, fire safety consultants, union officials. So it's the whole gamut that affects fire services.
Yeah, you say you're well established in the sector, which implies that there are other magazines about fire.
Are there?
Well, I'm just no. I thought what you said what there was.
There are one or two. There are always one or two.
That's interesting. So the people who buy your magazine or subscribe to your magazine would be fire brigade people almost exclusively.
No, not exclusively. I mean, the fire safety consultants, risk assessors, building safety managers as well. So you're dealing with the fire safety prevention side, which is part of the package. The fire services mostly response, although obviously they do an incredible amount on prevention. But there's a wider fire community which involves safety management.
Right.
And there's a riding cost of fire, which is about 1.3 billion a year, which is rising all the time.
Wow.
And at the same time, fire deaths and injuries are going down. So
somebody's doing their job properly because you're saving people. But as you say, it is a costly business. We had a fire last week which went on for a whole week. It was a whole thousands of tyres on fire. Is that a common thing that these depots that have all old tyres and things catch fire?
Yes, it's a growing problem. And in fact, in our next issue, we've got a piece from the Chief Fire Officers Association, which is looking directly in how to tackle this, because the fire service is restricted. It tends to respond, but there are lots and lots of smaller incidents, and it escalates in terms of the environmental impact, but also the cost.
Yeah.
And then obviously the cost of a week-long blaze, which is not unique. There was one recently down in Hertfordshire near the M1, which had a similar impact, and that obviously cost millions. So there needs to be a proactive approach in terms of enforcement, because a lot of these are the equivalent of rogue traders. They just set up sites without the proper licensing.
Right.
So there's a lot that authorities and fire services can do to mitigate the impact there.
Right, and you keep an eye on that sort of thing. I also learned from your magazine that next week is National Sprinkler Week. Are there going to be celebrations for National Sprinkler Week? What should I do to celebrate National Sprinkler Week?
Go out and buy one and put it in your house.
Right.
What I tend to focus upon, and I think the sprinkler lobby is focusing upon, is the need for sprinklers in high-risk areas. So these are schools, these are places of houses of multiple occupancy with vulnerable residents, the elderly, etc. And it's basically safeguarding these people who can't get out in the event of a fire. In terms of schools, I mean, very little life lost. In fact, that doesn't happen. But what does happen is huge costs. Right. The cost of fire in school destroys schools and businesses. So if you have a fire in a business, 60% of businesses go out of business. Right. I mean, that's the economic cost. That's part of that 1.3 billion.
1.3 billion, yeah. I mean, is it not a legal obligation in a place like a school or a care home to have sprinklers? So do you not have to have them?
No, if you would in Scotland, but not in England, and you would in Wales, all new homes are now having sprinklers fitted.
Yeah.
So in England, what we're appealing for is targeting. Now, West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service is very good at this, and in fact, very good at most things. One of the best brigades in the country, I hasten to add, being from West Yorkshire.
Oh.
And that is part of that targeting. It's targeting the right schools, new builds, residential care homes, and getting that message across early in the building construction as well.
There was, in fact, a big fire story on the news this morning. The report into that tragic deaths of those children down in Derbyshire, where there were smoke alarms, but I understand it that the children actually slept through the smoke alarms.
Yeah, I mean, smoke alarms are part of there is the whole safety measure. There are built-in fire protection measures. There are sprinklers. There's obviously the fire service response. There's a point that I was on the verge of making earlier, that deaths from fires were about 600 10 years ago. That's across the UK. It's now less than 200,
right.
And that is it's world beating. It's absolutely exceptional that we've driven down deaths and injuries from fire to less than 200.
Right.
But yes, smoke alarms were absolutely fundamental in doing so. But we're talking about the next level now. We're talking about improving and forever improving these measures, because that's our job. And as a journalist in part of that sector, it's my drive to assist with that.
Okay, Andrew, thanks ever so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Martin.
Andrew Lynch, who's the editor of Fire magazine.